Previously on Hunting Hitler.
They had a plan for mass destruction in the United States using a weapon with a kill radius which would have taken out Manhattan.
We need to know everything about a Nazi scientist called Dr. Richter.
He got himself an island.
Richter's laboratory was cutting edge, with machines that could enable him to develop a nuclear weapon.
And we have an Alco over here. Dr. Richter with Island Wamel. A bunker destroyed in 1955. An observation tower. Somebody sat back with a map and said, I'm gonna put an outpost here, I'm gonna put Adolf Hitler here, and I'm gonna put a nuclear weapon program here. What I see here is the Fourth Reich's blueprint.
Our intelligence leads us to Wamel Island. Here, Dr. Richter, with the acquiescence of Juan Perón, is developing nuclear technology.
Bob Baer and Dr. John Sensich review the findings from Bariloche, Argentina, where they have uncovered Wamel Island, a nuclear facility run by a scientist with Nazi ties just 30 miles from the Analco House, a possible safe haven for Adolf Hitler, as well as several military installations in the area.
Look at the totality of evidence, not any one piece of it. Said these people had on their mind creating the Fourth Reich. In Bariloche, you have the Analco House, you've got the watch tower, you've got the bunker, you have a clandestine nuclear facility. They had the elements to create the Fourth Reich, but something went wrong. What happened?
We know that the Argentinian military took efforts to destroy the energy facility on Wamel Island and the bunker.
This was dynamited by the military after 1955.
In 1955, Juan Perón is ousted. He's no longer in power. This is my theory, that the Argentinian government is trying to remove any evidence of cooperation or the appearance of cooperation with the Nazi regime.
In September 1955, the fascist dictator of Argentina, Juan Perón, who provided refuge to thousands of Nazi war criminals, was driven from power by a military coup and remained in exile for nearly 2 decades in Spain.
If Hitler made it to Argentina, Perón is overthrown in 55, would have been obligated to get up and move. Not only obligated, there would have been preparations in place. They went somewhere. Where did they go at that point?
From Bariloche, Chile is right over the mountain range. The Chilean government allowed thousands of Nazis to enter following the Second World War. They lived with a lot of autonomy, so it's a perfect place for fleeing Nazis to make their way to.
Okay, Chile and Nazi.
Yeah, this is interesting. Dated 2nd July, 1943. It's a memorandum from J. Edgar Hoover himself, pro-Nazi personalities in the vicinity of Osorno, Chile. Each paragraph is highlighted by different Nazi activities. There is a network of Nazi support in the province of Osorno. Yeah, Bariloche is here. We have Osorno right here in Chile. The distance here is a mere 150 miles. People are running scared. Where are they going to go? The most logical area is Osorno.
Every time we've looked at these German communities and followed these leads, there has been some sort of Nazi clandestine infrastructure. And I'm willing to bet we find some.
What's this guy's name?
Ruben Ramirez.
Everybody says this is the man to talk to.
In Osorno, Chile, U.S. Army Special Forces Tim Kennedy and investigative journalist Gerard Williams are joined by their translator, America.
You can take point, America.
They arrive at the home of Ruben Ramirez, a historian and lifetime resident of Osorno.
You ready?
Yeah.
Who has spent his career studying Nazi activities in the area.
Thanks for taking the time to meet with us. We're interested in Nazis that came to this area. We have information that lots came here, and we're trying to find a few very specific ones.
Como colonos, los alemanes llegaron a esta zona.
They were welcomed by the government here.
El alemán, por decir, tiene un sentido gregario.
The Germans who were established here before help each other. So when those Nazis arrived, they helped them get key positions in the government and working places.
Were there any senior Nazis who came here after the war? We're talking SS generals, senior party officials.
Sí, señor. Y hay muchos más.
Does he have names?
¿Tienes nombres?
Juan Keller.
One killer.
Legally, he was known as Juan Keller.
Juan Keller.
That was his legal name here, but it is said he was the higher position Nazi. He was a person who lived in the shadows.
Having an alias, a false name, is distinctly part of a Nazi's book of tricks. You have to keep a low profile when you're one of the most wanted war criminals in the world.
Did he meet this man himself?
He was just a kid. He saw him the first time. He was riding a horse, he had a huge leather jacket, boots, and he could see the bump of a gun sticking out of his back.
Was it normal in those days for people to carry guns around here? I mean...
No, it was not normal. Only people of power, people who had a lot of money, would go around with guns.
Will you tell us everything that you know about what Juan Keller was doing here?
Una vez que se asentó acá, compró 3 fundos. 3.
There were people with guns guarding the perimeter.
Armed guards?
Exactly. People were really scared to see him because there were a lot of deaths happening around him.
Él, para nacionalizarse chileno, buscó a 2 campesinos que eran analfabetos. Necesitaba testigos.
So these guys said that Juan Keller had been born here, saying, we've known him since he was a lad.
Claro. Luego los mataron.
They were both murdered?
Sí. A balazo.
There's something strange going on here.
We have people dying around Juan Keller, being murdered, disappearing. They're not coincidences. Those are specific strategic choices. He's getting rid of witnesses and he's killing threats.
So this is what, in the 1950s?
50, sí.
Yes.
Puts him snap in the timeline here.
It's very suspicious that a high-ranking Nazi turns up, he's able to buy 3 large tracts of land and armed guards. I'd never heard of Juan Keller. He must have been very, very important.
Who is Juan Keller? Do you know his name during the war?
Esa pregunta del millón.
That's the $1,000,000 question.
Is there anyone else that we can talk to get more information about Juan Keller?
Solamente la hija nomás,
Just-
que vive en Osorno.
Just the daughter who lives in Osorno.
She's still alive.
Sí.
Her name is Eliana Keller.
How do we find her?
De un familiar que se llama Gabriela Asenjo.
We have to talk to her. That is a relative that is still alive and living in this area.
Let's go find a woman.
Appreciate your time.
Señor, muchas gracias, mucho gusto.
If we can track down Elena Keller, she could have information about the Nazi network infrastructure that was here in Osorno, Chile. We could blow this investigation wide open.
Let's take a look at what we have in Osorno. We have a local eyewitness who's telling us for the first time about a man by the name of Juan Keller.
Bob and John review the findings from Osorno, Chile, where the team is in search of evidence that Hitler could have moved to this area after fleeing Argentina. They have uncovered a potential high-ranking Nazi living in Osorno. under the alias Juan Keller.
I mean, John, from the description of this guy, it looks like he's on the run. He's carrying a weapon, he's German, very intimidating. And if he's living under a pseudonym, he's got to be fairly important. I mean, a low-level Nazi is not going to take all this effort to hide his identity and kill the witnesses.
Agreed. And then we have his daughter, Eliana Keller. She's alive, she's still in the area, and she is a potential source of information surrounding the true identity of Juan Keller.
Mm-hmm.
And this is interesting. It's an adoption certification. It's showing her Eliana Keller, being born in 1954, and it identifies the adopting father as Juan Keller. If he is established as a Chilean national, he has a daughter who's a Chilean national, and at some point in the future there's an extradition request, it would throw a serious curveball into the extradition process altogether.
If he was pretending to be Chilean and had a Chilean child by adoption, it would offer him a certain amount of protection.
Who is Juan Keller? We need to find out.
Yep.
Juan Keller, worldwide, Chile. What we got, Bob?
FBI, December 19th, 1945. Martin Bormann, well-known Nazi war criminal, was traveling in Latin America under the name of Keller. You believe that? Keller.
Juan Keller's potential real identity is Martin Bormann.
It's a huge, blazing lead. I think it's absolutely crucial we get to Eliana Keller. Talk about a first-hand witness, your daughter is it. And Bormann was Hitler's right-hand man. He's a natural person to follow to lead us to Hitler. So finding somebody like this is key.
The team needs to locate Eliana Keller. Fortunately, we have a lead, one of her relatives, Gabriela Asenko. If she's willing to cooperate, perhaps that'll take us to Eliana.
Yep, let's do it.
Well, we're here.
Let's see if we can pinpoint which house it is.
In Osorno, Chile, Tim Kennedy and Gerard Williams, with the help of their translator America, arrive at the home of Gabriela Asenko, a reported relative of Eliana Keller.
I definitely don't want to scare her off. Both of us are intimidating. Maybe you two walk up and I'll...
You can come join us.
Gabriela Asenko is essential to this investigation. She's the woman we hope will lead us to Martin Bormann's daughter, if it is Martin Bormann. We need this person. Senora Asenko.
Buenas tardes.
Hola. Hola. Senora, we've been given your name by a man called Ruben Ramirez because we are looking for a lady called Eliana Keller. Can you help us? Do you know where she is?
No.
You're not related to Liliana.
Pero no está relacionada con Eliana de ninguna forma, con Eliana Keller.
Ella era casada con un hermano mío.
She was married to her brother.
And she has had no contact with her since?
No.
Okay. This is my colleague Tim.
Él es Tim, su colega.
Her brother, is he still alive?
No, está muerto. Está enterrado en el cementerio.
In the cemetery.
He's in the cemetery.
Okay.
Do you know anyone that could get a hold of Eliana Keller for us?
No, le caía...
Did you know a Juan Keller?
¿Conoció usted a Juan Keller?
Sí.
Eliana's father?
Sí, él fue el que la legitimó.
How long did Juan Keller live in Osorno?
¿Cuánto tiempo vivió Juan Keller con Osorno, la
Eso
Unión?
no sé.
No, she doesn't know.
We'd like to stay in touch, and if she can find any information at all about Eliana, we would be very grateful.
Muchas gracias. Mucho gusto.
Hey, I have one more question. Juan Keller, was he a good guy? Was he a nice guy? Did the people around him like him?
No, le caía... Le tenían miedo a todo.
There was a rumor that Juan Keller is Martin Bormann. Is that true?
Había un rumor de que Juan Keller era Martin Bormann.
Martin Bormann.
¿Es verdad?
Sí, porque mi papi los contó, que él le contaba.
Unbelievable. If you have Martin Bormann, you have Adolf Hitler. I realize it's sensitive, but we have to talk to her.
Claro. Yo les aviso. She's going to find out, and when she has the exact address, she will give you a call.
Muchas gracias. Thank you so much.
We'll be expecting your call.
Thank you.
Thank you. We are so close right now to finding Eliana Keller. Eliana Keller could be the key to this entire investigation. If we can talk to Martin Bormann's daughter, we might find more evidence than ever of what Adolf Hitler did after he left the bunker in 1945.
The team needs to keep investigating in Chile.
It's clear we have to talk to Eliana.
While the field team continues to dig in Chile, Bob and John discuss opening another leg of their investigation into where Hitler could have gone if he was forced to flee Argentina in 1955, after Perón fell from power.
In Argentina, we have two potential locations for Hitler. Bariloche, Nalco House. You've got Misiones, the Nazi compound. We've now examined the possibility that under duress, Nazis could have run across the border from Bariloche to Chile. If you're fleeing Misiones, you're not going to be going all the way across Argentina to Bariloche and then to Chile. It's too far. Misiones is right on the border of Paraguay. So what happened to these guys?
The first Nazi party that was organized outside of Germany was in the late 1920s, and it was in Paraguay. If Argentina was to become compromised, it would make sense to have two Plan Bs, Chile and Paraguay. Misiones, which is just a few miles south of Paraguay, there's the other Plan B.
Paraguay sided with Nazi Germany. They protected them. If you're in Misiones, had to get out quick, Perón Falls, cross the Parana River, you're safe. What kind of facilities do you get in Paraguay? What do we have there?
Okay, let's take a look at Paraguay and Nazis.
Look, here we go. This is a secret document, declassified, reporting agency, CIA, March 1965. Bormann is in Paraguay. Bormann, guarded by 4 men equipped with walkie-talkies, has 4 different hideouts.
I see this as significant.
Yeah.
So as the team keeps digging into Chile, we need to send another team to Paraguay.
Yeah, Asuncion, the capital of Paraguay. Let's start right there. Asuncion is close to Misiones. If there are any documents, if there are any facilities, they would be there.
I think we need to get Mike Simpson. He did a great job for us in Spain and Morocco, and I think we should have Graham Wood. He's a Bormann expert.
In the 1960s, German authorities looked for Bormann's bones. Instead, they found nothing.
If there's any evidence relative to Martin Bormann in Paraguay, Graham Wood is our man. Let's get them on mission. Let's get them into Paraguay.
I agree.
Any big-name Nazis come into Paraguay? That's what I want to know.
U.S. Army recon expert Mike Simpson, investigative journalist Graham Wood, and their translator Jorge are in search of evidence that Hitler could have fled to Paraguay.
When you're trying to investigate something that a lot of people don't want you to know about, it's very difficult to weed out the truth from the fiction. As a journalist, it's my job to check out every little loose thread to see if it leads somewhere.
Dr. Fernandez, Mike, mucho gusto.
Graham Wood, nice to meet you.
They make contact with former Supreme Court Justice Dr. Jose Fernandez, who has agreed to grant the team access to classified government documents concerning Nazis on the run in Paraguay.
El gobierno paraguayo tenía mucha afinidad con los alemanes.
The government at the time had a very close connection with the German Nazis. That's all thoroughly documented, and there's still a lot more to go through because the file is just so huge that it requires more time to be examined thoroughly.
The opening up of the Paraguayan archives is a really big event because there was a huge amount of material that the regime had gathered about Nazis who were living in Paraguay. These are documents that were kept secret.
Do we have any information from these files about Nazis escaping their war crimes here in Paraguay?
Sí. Revela que Martin Bormann vino en el año 56 al Paraguay.
This is huge. Right here, look at this subparagraph. It starts off, Martin Bormann, #1, all in caps. So he knew this was important. This was an important find that he's reporting to his boss. Martin Bormann, chief of the Nazi Party, came to Paraguay and lived here for some time. According to this, Bormann eventually succumbed to his illness, stomach cancer, and he was buried on the night of the 17th of February, 1959, in the cemetery in Ita, near Asunción.
This is huge. We're talking about information that people on many continents would want to know. And what's so tantalizing about this report is these are details that could have been left out if the informant wanted to just cook up a story. But instead there's some verifiable stuff. They say where he was buried, and we could go there to find out more about that.
Yeah.
Earlier in the investigation, the team discovered that Bormann may not have died in Germany at the end of World War II. When his remains were uncovered in Berlin in 1972, they were covered with a mysterious red clay.
When people looked at those bones, there was the fact that the soil that was attached to the bones had a kind of red, iron-rich clay, which is something that you don't find anywhere in Germany, but is common for the soil of certain parts of South America.
This document that mentions Martin Bormann has a remarkable level of detail. Martin Bormann might have survived, lived in Paraguay, and been buried here before, been dug up and then planted back in Berlin, which would in itself be an incredible thing to discover.
Respecto al entierro de Ita, hay personas que pueden darle más información sobre eso ahora.
And you have their contact information?
Sí, claro.
History says that Bormann died in Berlin in 1945. If we can develop any proof at all that Bormann died and was buried in South America, then Hitler being alive and also being in South America becomes even more likely. Everything is now different at this point. This is the neighborhood.
In Ita, Paraguay, Mike Simpson and his translator Jorge are in search of evidence that Hitler could have fled to this area. They are following a confidential Paraguayan file that claims that this area was the final resting place for Martin Bormann after he was believed to have died at the end of World War II in Berlin.
Hola, ¿usted es la señora Magdalena Cabrera?
Sí, ella
¿Sí?
misma.
They make contact with a local woman who was reported to have information regarding Bormann's burial.
She says it's okay, we can just...
Sí, sí.
History as it's written has always told us that Martin Bormann died in Berlin. If we prove that Martin Bormann was buried here in 1959, then this is ground zero for the investigation to go forward to prove that Adolf Hitler was also here. I was told that you have information pertaining to the burial of Martin Bormann here in Paraguay.
Sí, efectivamente. Y una noche, tardecita noche, como a las 7.
There was this van that came from Asunción. There were people wearing suits, and they were talking to her father, the undertaker, to bury somebody, but without a mark, an unmarked grave.
And how old were you at this time?
9 años.
You went with your father that night and you witnessed all of this firsthand.
Sí, 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 sí.
Yeah, she saw it with her own
Sí.
eyes.
Did they say specifically, this is the body of Martin Bormann?
Con mi papá lo que habla.
And he was told, her father, to never say anything about it, to keep his mouth shut.
Do you remember the location of the grave? If we were to take you to that cemetery, could you find that location again?
Y la verdad que no.
She can't recall. It all happened very fast.
Hay otra persona alemán que vino a vivir ahí en el cementerio.
There's another person of German origin who actually lived by the cemetery.
Y el señor Isidro Pereira.
He was here the day after he was buried. He actually came with the priest to give a little prayer.
And he lives in this area?
Él vive acá?
Sí, en esta zona.
We're gonna need to talk to him. Okay. Gracias.
Bueno.
Gracias.
Eyewitness reports give you a depth that archival data cannot match. Having an eyewitness, someone who was actually there, standing at the graveside when Martin Bormann was buried, this is huge. We need to talk to this guy.
Like where the light is. That's one of the right.
Mike joins up with Graham Wood. They head for the reported location of an eyewitness
That looks like the one right there.
who could potentially point them to the precise site where Bormann was buried.
It's the place.
Hola, señor. Buscamos para Isidro? Isidro.
Mucho gusto.
I was told that you have information about where Martin Bormann was buried here in Paraguay.
¿Usted cree que todavía sabe dónde está la tumba? Martin Bormann.
Martín Bormann, frente a un oratorio de la familia Struy y enfrente mío.
I know you're a busy man. Could you show us right now where that grave is?
Nosotros sabemos que usted está muy ocupado, así que podría mostrarnos ahora mismo dónde queda la tumba.
No hay problema.
No problem.
Vamos. Vamos. At every point in our investigation, we found Bormann and Hitler coming up in all the same locations in the right time frame. If we can find any evidence at all that Martin Bormann was laid to rest in this grave, then the next question is, what about Hitler? Did he end up in Paraguay also?
Este es.
So this is it?
¿Es este el lugar?
Y así es.
Sí, that's right.
Ahí enfrente.
How did you happen to get the information? Is this something that you saw for yourself?
La sepultura. Llegó el aviso yo trabajaba con el país. Entonces, él me dijo, ya sabes, vamos un ratito al cementerio. Con tierra se cerró.
He was working for the priest at the time, so he had to be there the day after he was buried.
When was the first time that people began to whisper about the true nature of this grave?
The day after he was supposedly buried here, people started talking. They were saying that some warlord was brought here from Asunción. That's what the people were saying. And then he tried to confirm it and asked the priest whether that was what happened. And the priest kind of like just said that Martin Bormann was buried here.
The priest said that Martin Bormann was buried in this grave.
Yeah, pues ya.
What was the name of this priest?
Asensio Ayala.
And what can you tell me about Asensio Ayala?
This priest was not only a very important member of the community, but also really well connected with powerful people. He worked for the army.
He was a chaplain.
Yeah, chaplain, yeah.
This priest would have had direct ties to the capital, to the military power structure, and to the president of Paraguay. That tells me this goes to the highest levels, and I think they still had things that they wanted to hide. Who else was here? Who else was alive? Let me widen this for the auger a little bit.
Mike and Graham are granted access to investigate the gravesite that is reported to have housed Martin Bormann's remains.
I see some good soft earth here.
Soft is good.
We're starting to see red earth, that iron-rich soil.
The reports of the skull exhumed in Berlin that was DNA matched to Bormann had this red clay on it. And we're clearly seeing a red clay that, at least visually, looks very similar. And not native to Germany, not native to Berlin.
For this being a small town, she was a difficult woman to get a hold of.
Yeah. Maybe she's a private person and doesn't want to talk about the possibility that Martin Bormann was Juan Keller.
In Osorno, Chile, Tim Kennedy, Gerard Williams, and their translator, America, arrive at the home of Eliana Keller, the adopted daughter of Juan Keller. which according to declassified FBI documents, is the alias used by Martin Bormann when he moved from Argentina to Chile.
Doing an interview like this, we're rewriting what people think that they know about what happened to the leaders of the Third Reich. Eliana Keller, the daughter of Juan Keller, potentially could be the daughter of Martin Bormann, the second in command of the Third Reich. If Bormann was here in the open, how close could Adolf Hitler have been? There's a lot of very, very sensitive issues here, but we know what we need and we have to get it.
Eliana Keller? Señora Keller? Sí?
Sí.
Muchas gracias.
Permiso.
Thank you for seeing us.
Eliana, we've heard many tales about your family, and we'd like to hear your story. Are you Juan Keller's natural daughter?
Hija adoptiva, legitimada.
It was an agreement with Juan Keller's housekeeper. She was her biological mother.
Oh, okay, okay.
She was adopted at 2 months.
Oh,
And
right, baby, complete baby.
yes, and at 5 years old, she started going to the German school.
Was your father a German?
Sí, porque siempre llegaban muchos amigos alemanes. Cuando no estaba con sus amigos, siempre trataba de que yo siguiera el idioma.
What did your father do for work? What was his main occupation? And how many people did he usually have working with him or for him?
El número de cantidades no lo sé, pero era muchísima gente, muchísima gente.
It wasn't only the land he had in Las Trancas. He had 2 other places, and they worked there too.
So he was wealthy. He had lots of money.
Entonces él tenía mucho dinero, era adinerado.
Obvio que sí.
Yeah, of course he was.
How old were you the last time you saw Juan Keller?
13 años. De un día lunes que me va a dejar al colegio y de ahí se despide de mí y no lo veo más.
Never saw him again.
After your father left when you were 13, the story started coming out that your father, Juan Keller, was Martin Bormann. Do you think that that is true and that the man that is Juan Keller was in fact the fugitive from World War II?
Yo creo que sí.
He left, and 3 months later, she started getting journalists trying to talk to her.
Why do you think your father left?
Que cuando escucha él que capturaron a Adolf Eichmann, ahí se pone raro, le da pánico seguro, no sé.
So we have a man who speaks German at home, is very, very wealthy, who suddenly runs when Eichmann is taken. Is it Martin Bormann?
Does this look like your father?
Oh, en esa.
Esa, claro. Esto lo he visto varias veces, esta foto. Yo lo conocí así.
We're finding out new things every day here in Chile. There has to be far more to discover, far more that's been hidden about exactly what happened. Because if Bormann's here, Hitler's not very far away.
After your father left, did anyone ever come looking for him?
Sí, sí estuvo en mi casa.
So one day, 4 men came to her house, and they said they came from Colonia Dignidad, and they wanted to know if she was the daughter of Martin Bormann.
Colonial Dignidad.
As a journalist, I remember some of this story about a place called Colonia Dignidad here in Chile, a large German community. There were rumors, they were involved in murders and disappearances. So why is this linked to Martin Bormann?
What do you think the men were there for?
Creo que era la misma masa, una misma, no sé.
She thinks they were the same kind of people.
So, I have to dig into Colonial Dignidad.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
This is weird. What the hell's going on with these people? What the hell's going on at Colonia Dignidad? Is there some sort of connection between Nazis and Colonia Dignidad? What I do know is it's got a deep and dark history and needs a visit.
So we've got a team in Paraguay, and we've got a team in Chile. That's what's happening in Chile.
Bob and John focus on the Chilean leg of their investigation, where they have interviewed Eliana Keller, the woman who claims she was adopted by Martin Bormann in 1955 in Osorno, Chile.
Eliana Keller looks at a photograph of Martin Bormann and says, yes, this is my dad. He fled Osorno when she was 13 years old, trying to escape from war crimes investigators. And then people from a community called Colonia Dignidad came looking for him. And Eliana describes these people as, like him, Germans.
Clearly, this is a serious lead. Something's going on here in Colonia Dignidad. What do we know about this place?
It is a secretive place in the middle of nowhere, Chile. It started with this guy right here, Paul Schaefer.
Paul Schaefer was a Nazi corporal during World War II. In 1959, he fled Germany after being accused of sexual abuse. And in 1961, he surfaced in Chile, along with 300 German followers, where they formed a secretive community in the Andes Mountains, known as Colonia Dignidad. The colony's true intentions are still debated to this day.
There were rumors of torture and homicide and sexual abuse, all sorts of egregious, horrendous crimes. This is a place that conjures up images of sheer fear in the faces of Chileans to this day. At its height, the community had 53 square miles of essentially sovereign territory. Nobody from the outside was coming in, that's to be sure.
You have a remote part of Chile, a German community run by a Nazi corporal. And the fact they were in connection with Bormann. This is huge. So what do the files have on this?
Colonia Dignidad. There we go. It's a CIA document. Colonia Dignidad is a private encampment reportedly run in the fashion of a religious cult. Colonia Dignidad has also been accused of other nefarious activities. And it goes on to say, elements persist in Chile that would willingly provide succor to a fleeing Nazi war criminal.
You basically have a community where Germans can go, and within those walls of that community remain very secretive. I mean, where is this place?
All right, Chile is a long country going all the way up from Peru down to basically Antarctica. And here we have Argentina, cross over the Andes Mountains, where Colonia Dignidad once stood. They've changed their name to the Villa Bavaria, the Bavarian Village.
Bavaria Village? Inside these cults, the first rule is don't talk to outsiders. It'd be a great place to hide. But they're not going to want to talk about their Nazi past or the cult past or any part of it. Let's get Tim and Mike in there, find out what it is.
I can't think of two better people based upon their backgrounds in special forces. It's not going to be easy, but they can do it and minimize the attention that's drawn upon them.
Let's get into Colonia Dignidad.
Look at this. You're isolated. You control the area.
In the remote foothills of the Chilean Andes, Tim Kennedy and Mike Simpson joined forces, along with their translator America, in hopes of gaining entry into Colonia Dignidad, now known as Villa Baviera.
Mile marker-wise, we should be getting close.
This isn't in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Colonia Dignidad was put here for a reason. They wanted to be isolated. Tactically, if you're hiding a high-value target, Colonia Dignidad is flawlessly selected. It's mile after mile after mile of nothing.
We should be coming up on our turn.
Villa Bavaria. This is the name of it, right?
Yeah, pull over right here. Didn't expect a sign. Complejo Turístico, tourist complex.
Colonia Dignidad, where's that at?
No reference to it. Just Villa Baviera, that's it.
I mean, I realized that they changed their name. I just didn't realize that they had changed everything.
Look at this. Restaurant, hotel, events. People get married out there? This is disturbing, Tim. We're going into something that, to me, looks like a deception.
They get wind of what we're here for, it's dangerous.
That makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand up.
So how do we want to play this?
I think if we go in firing off questions, using the word Nazi, I don't think that's going to go well for us. I don't think this can be field interrogation style. I think this needs to be passive collection style. They have an agenda. Let's let them think that we're buying the story and that we're on board with the agenda.
Let's see what they show us. If they're going to treat this like a tourist attraction, we have to change our strategy. So we're going to go in and we're going to approach this like a soft cell interrogation. This is us letting them say whatever they want to say. If they're trying to hide something, we have to garner their trust so that eventually they'll let their guard down.
Whoa, 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 look at this.
Look at the fence change.
We're seeing this cheap 4-strand barbed wire the whole way, and then all of a sudden that. Look. See the rock?
Yeah.
What's it say on it?
Via Bavaria.
This is their fence. This high-grade fence is theirs.
And the last time I saw a fence like that, I was on a military base.
Look at this.
Guard tower.
Right away, my spider sense is tingling. I know something was going on here.
Oh my God.
There's no reason to have that there except to cover the road. They were setting up physical and technological barriers.
This road's locked down. This is the only way in, the only way out. All right, here, we got a checkpoint.
They were protecting a dark secret.
Do you see the cameras? Look at the left corner of the building, over the top of the lights. So at night, you can't see those cameras.
What was it that was so important that it would be worthy of keeping it a secret?
This is a fully functional checkpoint. Welcome to the utopian German colony of Via Baviera.
Next time on Hunting Hitler.
If Adolf Hitler's bodyguard was in Colonial Dignidad, who was he protecting?
With or without their cooperation, we will get to the truth.
Nothing could go in or out of Colonial Dignidad without somebody seeing it from here.
Yeah. What the?
Yeah, they're soundproofing this room.
Why?
Hasta se fabrica armamento. They built guns.
There was also chemical weapons, like sarin gas.
Sarin gas.
If you have a system to disperse sarin, you could take out a major American city. This is the Fourth Reich in theory. This is the Fourth Reich in act.